I just watched the live-action Mulan, and I'm just excited that it came straight to VOD so that I could actually have a new movie to watch this weekend and talk to you about. Did you see the new live-action Mulan? What did you think? Let's talk in the comments. Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin, and this is my spoiler talk for the live-action Mulan. The question on everybody's mind, is it worth the $30 to check out this weekend? Having seen it, I'll say this. I would have been okay to wait until it was free on Disney+, but I dropped the $30. And I watched it so I could review it and talk about it with you, and I don't regret it. I enjoyed the movie, and I'm looking forward to my wife coming home from work, and we can watch the movie together, and I'll see it again and see some of the stuff that I missed. So I am looking forward to that, so I don't regret that I dropped the $30 to watch it this weekend, and I'm going to give this movie a B+. One of the things I liked is it wasn't a shot-for-shot live-action remake of the animated movie. Now, that's not news to anybody because we all knew that going into this, because I think the trailers did a good job in showing us they are going to do something different. It is the same story. They are going to tell the same story, but they're going to tell it different. And honestly, I found it a little bit more compelling and a little bit more intriguing the way it unfolded in the live action versus the animated. Saying that, let me just tell you, I didn't grow up watching the animated. After The Lion King, I thought to myself as a kid, it ain't gonna get any better than this. And so, you know, I didn't go see the other Disney animated movies on the big screen past The Lion King. Once Disney Plus arrived, I caught up on that stuff, including watching Mulan twice. And like everybody, I like Mushu. He's a fun character, and I thought it was a fun movie. Wasn't no Lion King, but it was an enjoyable movie. This one, I just found the story, the way they told it, a little bit more intriguing. Because one of the things that made it a bit more intriguing for me was what they did with Chi. The fact that Mulan just had this natural gift with Chi, and how her father described it in the opening narration that it would speak through her movements. And so she was just so natural in that gift, it became painful in that moment where he had to tell Mulan that it's a warrior's gift. It's a man's gift. Her job is to bring honor to the family, you know, by getting married and, you know, making more members of the family, by being a good wife and a good mother. That's her job, and how to bring honor to the family. And Chi, it was a voice in her that she needed to silence. And I feel like they did a pretty okay job establishing that in the beginning, that it was just such a natural gift for her. So for me, I'm listening to this, I'm like, wow, that is kind of painful that he had to tell her to silence that gift.
And it is time for you to hide your gift away, to silence its voice.
But the other thing that made that compelling is the fact you could tell he loved her, and he was proud of her for how she flowed in the gift. But in a sense, he was a prisoner to the constraints and traditions of the time, and so this is just what had to be done, and he was doing his best to protect his daughter who he loved. So that made that kind of compelling. The other thing that was compelling was Xian Lang, the witch. And it was kind of interesting what they did with her, because I thought she was cool in the trailer, like those shots where she turns into the bird. And I was like, now that is interesting, and I'm curious of what they're going to do with her character. And so she was the other side of that coin with Mulan, that she was strong in Chi, and it flowed through her like a natural gift.
The more power I showed, the more I was crushed. Just like you.
So to me, it was interesting how Mulan and Xian kind of paralleled each other, but the different choices they made, and how Mulan's choice was indeed the harder choice, because she disguised herself as a man, just like in the animated film, to save her dad's life, to honor her father. So with the Warrior's Oath, she showed bravery in doing that, and she showed loyalty to her family. And she's loyal to the Emperor, she's loyal to the army, she's loyal to her men. We're seeing her loyalty, and we're seeing how extremely brave she is. But they did a good job showing her struggle with true, that part, being true, because she wasn't being true. Yeah, she disguised herself as a man for good reason, but she struggled with that idea of being true. And there's this really cool scene where she's fighting with her, you know, friend when they're practicing fighting, and she just slides into her natural gift with Chi, and everybody sees how naturally gifted she is. And she's ashamed of herself because she was supposed to hide that gift. But she's disguised as a man, so it should be okay that she showed that gift. But it's interesting because you're saying her dad told her that she had to silence that. Nobody can know that that was her gift and that she flowed so naturally in it. And now she's feeling guilty that she so naturally flowed in it, yet she's in the army, so it's definitely something she should naturally flow in. And so that kind of stuff, I found it very compelling, like her personal journey up to that first time she confronts Xion.
Your deceit weakens you. It poisons your chi.
Which was this incredibly interesting concept and why she couldn't defeat Xion in that scene. And then when she's riding away after she decides, I'm not hiding it anymore, and she's true to who she is, you see this huge change in how she fights, and now she's flowing completely in the gift because she's brave, she's loyal, she's true. She's flowing truly in it, even though the part that was true was the scariest part for her and the hardest part for her. But once she began to flow in it, no matter the sacrifice, man, that gift flowed. Though it was kind of funny, as she's riding through that canyon and she's throwing off the armor. It's cool, but in my mind I went, no, that's armor. That's armor. It's a war. I know you're good and you're flowing in chi. It's a war. Armor is good. Hold on to the armor. But I understood what they were going for, and it was a really cool moment. And then for that sacrifice, she gets dishonored. For not being true, you get something worse than death. You get kicked out of the army, bringing shame on your family forever. She even said, could you execute me instead, please? That'd be far preferable. Instead, they just kicked her out. So for that sacrifice, they kick her out, and then Xion comes and says, tie your path to mine. It really felt like Jesus in the wilderness being tempted by the devil. Take the easy way, take the shortcut. And I like that Mulan didn't do it. Even though the army kicked her out, instead of holding resentment towards them, instead she said, no, I'm going to remain loyal. And when she knew what Borikhan was going to do, she rode facing death to go tell her men what Borikhan was going to do. And they respected her bravery, they respected her loyalty, and they respected her being true to herself. So she got to lead the battalion. In some ways, it feels like it happened kind of fast, but on the other hand, it was cool. She faced down temptation, and she overcame it, and didn't take the same path as Xion. And so it was kind of cool in the end when Xion gives her life to save Mulan, because she ended up inspired by the fact that Mulan walked the impossible path. And it's interesting because, especially when you see the Phoenix just guarding her throughout the movie, guiding her and protecting her, really watching this from a Christian perspective, what it reminded me of is the Holy Spirit. Sometimes as Christians, we get so hooked up in religion that we think gifts can only flow this way or belong to certain people over here and there, and we get so caught up in the tradition we don't let the Holy Spirit flow. Like the fact that Mulan was chosen to have this incredible gift with chi, but she's a woman, so she wasn't supposed to have it. So we got to silence that in her. And so she was told she couldn't operate in that. Yet it was her that saved the emperor. It was her that saved China by operating in that gift because she was chosen. But sometimes we get all hooked up on tradition and empty religion. And so what we seek to honor is ourselves. What we seek to honor is empty religion over honoring God himself. And so in doing that, we can stifle the gifts in us, believing, well, I'm not worthy and I shouldn't be operating that. Or telling somebody else, well, because of who you are, because of this, you shouldn't be operating in that. And yet, in Acts chapter 2, it says the Holy Spirit was poured out on all flesh, male and female. He didn't ask permission. He just poured his Spirit out on all flesh. So it's funny, as I was watching that, that's kind of what stood out to me, especially when she rises up and the phoenix wings come up behind her at the end when she's fighting Borikhan. In some ways, it's like, it's a little cheesy, but that's also really cool because her father's sword burns up in the fire, and then she rises up with the wings of the phoenix, like she's rising up in her true identity from the ashes, from the flames. And so it was kind of cool and symbolic in that way. So a lot of this I thought was cool, and because of this whole concept with chi, I thought it was a little bit more interesting and a little bit more intriguing than the animated one. But those are my thoughts, and that's why I'm giving this movie a B+. What did you think of Mulan? Would you go higher, or would you go lower with your grade if you saw it? And if you saw it, what would you say to everybody watching? Is it worth the 30 bucks, or should we wait? Let's talk about that in the comments. And while you're there, hit that subscribe button to become a Durbanian, and hit that bell by the subscribe button so you're notified for my next movie review, ranking video, theological analysis, or anything else I do here. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.